Hey everyone, Darrell as a service,
Hello.
and
Hello, I'm Daniel.
we haven't heard Nashville, the home of, for some time.
Well, so Nashville, the home of the national champions, the Vanderbilt Commodores, who are baseball national champions. Just
There
won
you go.
this week, last
All
week.
right. Okay.
Yeah, there you go. And the home of PK Subban, who used to play for the Nashville Predators but got traded. So that wasn't a popular decision. But anyway, yes. So there you got two things. I'm making up for lost time.
You are. Yep. But I'm sure you'll have other ones that the rest of the world can relate to at some point.
Wait, you can't relate to baseball?
Well, I'm thinking like there's baseball, but which competition? And it
It's
sounds like is it
collegiate.
collegiate, which is college?
College, yes.
Okay. Okay.
University.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes.
Okay. On with the show. There's something about this episode which kind of makes it special, and we've dressed up for it, as you can see.
Yes, of course.
um, yeah, got my best tie on. No, it's our 100th episode. We do have more than 100 videos because sometimes we did a few other things to
Yep.
combine. I even did a video where we're sort of filming it from two angles, but this is our 100th episode, and
It
it's
is.
big deal
Woohoo,
for
we
us.
made it. They
Yep.
haven't kicked us off the interwebs yet. We made it.
Sometimes it feels like YouTube is trying to do that.
Yeah, but they can't get rid of us. They can't keep us down.
No. There's other stuff that will will affect that. We can get over
Yeah,
YouTube. It's just yeah,
that's right.
workload. Hey, there is a ton of stuff that got dropped this
Yes,
week, and it's
sir.
like it's like I know you've got the 4th of July coming up, but is it as if people are going, release that stuff, go on holiday, come back.
Yes, yes, it is. I think it is. Too many people out of the office next week, so let's
Yeah,
push it all out.
yeah, that's it. So we know as we were starting, last episode, this
Yep.
one did come in. So that was about forms and transfer of ownership.
And we talked about that a little bit at the very end of the episode last week. So, yes, we can transfer ownership.
Yep,
Yay.
yep. Teams will soon support self-service sign-up, and this is for organizations that are in hybrid mode.
Hmm.
So it's not a feature that everyone's going to see. I guess it's one of
Right.
those messages interesting that it's not specific to me and to my tenant,
Well,
but there's definitely one on the list later which I want to point out, which is really quite specific. I know
right.
that it's just me or our tenant. Yeah, so you can sign yourself up for Teams. It's going to create an Azure AD entry, and
Hmm.
then you're ready to go. I guess there'll be some exercise later on to map that
Reconcile.
up exactly
Hmm.
when the organization's ready to actually shift into Azure AD
Right.
and Office 365.
Right.
Yeah.
Bringing
Uh,
bringing teams to the masses.
yeah, well, it's definitely. I keep seeing messages like this and thinking, oh, yeah, it's another way to just activate Teams. They're, finding all the different nooks and crannies to make it
Well, we're going to
possible.
cover another announcement this week and here in a little bit about that.
Yeah.
So,
Yep,
yep,
definitely. Um, yeah, look, this is the one that is actually quite specific. When I read this one, do you get this one in your message center? My
I
Analytics
did.
Outlook
Our
add-in
tenants are
for
very similar, right?
yes,
In that we have similar licensing here.
yep,
But yes, so I got this one as well, bringing this My Analytics Outlook add-in for, and then it has the license that we have there, which is E5 without audio conferencing,
yeah,
which is a special license. Just don't ask. But um, the, it was very specific, and it made me go, huh? When I
yeah,
saw it in my tenant.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I read that and I thought, well, does that mean it's only for us, only for that license? But you go through to
No.
the additional information and
Right.
it's free to everyone. What is it though, Daniel? What is this feature? What is this
This
capability?
is right. This is bringing we'll see in, I guess, late July is what they're saying, a new license that's called Insights by My Analytics. being part of Microsoft 365 and Office 365 E5 licenses. So this is not E3s. This is the next level up, E5.
Mm.
Um, so this is bringing that my analytics capabilities for you. And what I think is interesting is that um, this is going, this is enabling us to turn it on and off for users pretty easily, right? It's going to be just like every other service under the license to be able to say, no.
Mm.
And I'm assuming we can do this, via PowerShell as well. But it is, I do like some of the information down here about insights are never stored outside the user's mailbox,
Mm-hmm.
et cetera. So it's some cool stuff there. But this is bringing that My Analytics. That's the analyzing how you work and, how busy you are and how effective or efficient you are. Are you double booked for meetings all the time? Are
Mm.
you sending messages while you're supposed to be in a meeting? Stuff like that, to where it gives you a little bit of information to help you, do your job better, or not really do your job, but be more efficient and more effective, I guess.
Mm. Mm.
Right?
And with these insights coming into Outlook, where a lot of this activity is drawn from,
Mhm.
but as we know, it's not just drawing it from Outlook. You are getting some signals from Yammer, from Microsoft Teams now. You are seeing,
Skype. Yeah.
yeah, Skype as well. Are you IMing during a meeting? And
Right.
look, the good thing about this is we've seen this gradual journey of My Analytics
Hmm.
becoming more widely available to people. You don't have to buy this expensive E5 license. Though, rightly said, there is going to be more stuff coming to E5 in this space. So watch this
Right.
space.
That's right.
Good to see it coming. We have,
This next one's interesting, Darrell.
yeah,
Uh, this data privacy communications coming to the message center.
yeah,
And I I think this is just interesting in that they're obviously using the message center for more and more information. It's specific here to HIPAA, for instance, which is the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, which is a U.S. Law,
mm-hmm,
but it is using that and then bringing a role into this, a new privacy reader role, um, to be able to see those messages in the message center. So, what do you think about this expanding the message center from a technology point of view? Right, it's been
I
about tech and
yeah.
all that. What do you think?
Well, I mean, yeah, tech and user experience to a degree, how that experience is affected by the tech. Um,
Hmm.
uh, I think it's good that more roles are brought in, and more information is brought in. You might also think, well, do they perhaps need their own portal? And I guess at this stage, no. Um, what I found strange about this one was
Hmm.
not only is it a new role and I guess a filter to be able to
Hmm.
see here's the data privacy information, but
Yeah.
it's also that no one else can see it, as if to say there's stuff in this message or these messages that is about privacy but shouldn't be shared with other people who manage the
Well,
tenant in
and
some degree.
we don't have an idea as to what these messages will be.
Hmm.
Right? We don't have specifics. So is this, we've seen some messages that are specific to issues within your account, within your tenant. So is this messages that we'll be receiving that are specific to issues that
Hmm.
relate to people within our organization, or way we've set things up, or whatnot, so that it really does need to be locked down, and not just for
Right.
everybody, but for the people
Right.
we specifically have picked to have this role.
Yeah, well, in saying that, that feels like it should be more of a log of sorts. If it's triggering and saying, "Hey, we've found a something that needs your attention, privacy officer," that feels like it should be in more of a report or a log, like you see with the call quality with Teams,
Yeah,
that sort of thing.
I'm
But,
not sure that it's not.
mm,
So in the security and compliance, I'm not entirely sure that it's not there.
Mm.
I'm just, we're kind of hypothesizing at this point because we don't know specifically the type of content that will be there.
And
Um,
well, look,
the
there's this
action
other thing.
required,
Yeah.
yes.
So it's becoming available. The new
Mhm.
role is becoming available on 26th of July. Message
Right.
Center will only be available to global admins and individuals assigned the
Yep.
privacy reader role.
Mhm.
Um, what do we need to do to prepare? Can assign the appropriate context to that role
On
um,
July 26th.
on July 26th. Do it on
So,
July 26th.
right. So do it by this date, but it's only going to be available on that date. So basically, July 26th, go ahead and put it on your calendar, because that's when they're going to start rolling out, and you're going to have to assign them that day.
And if you don't, global admins will see it, but privacy
But nobody else
readers
will,
won't.
because you haven't assigned them yet. So
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That's a bit,
yeah,
yeah. They should go
yep.
talk to another team about this kind of rollout.
Mhm. Yeah,
Cheeky. Keeping moving.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, my question and answer, the type of post that's coming out where you can ask a question. So rather than it
Yep.
just being an announcement, a poll, or whatever,
Mhm.
you can ask a question and there can be a best answer marked. We had it delivered early into our tenant at work, which was cool.
Mhm.
Works great. Means you can call it out and
Yeah.
yeah. Have you
Well,
seen
I
it in
think with
action yet?
only in demo. I think I'm excited about this a little bit. The I'm not going to say that. I like seeing, I guess, new functionality coming to Yammer. Maybe it makes it something that I would want to start using more often.
Mm.
Um, but this kind of there was this communities template in SharePoint used to have that kind of had this same kind of feel where, or it had the feeling of messagecenter.show, we'll take it, and then have them
Yeah.
click the subscribe button.
Yeah, no, that's actually been rolled out to everyone's favorites, right, as a group
Yeah,
policy
that's
starting
right.
page. Good. Right, quick edit improvements for SharePoint lists and document libraries. Yeah, we don't know much about what this will
No.
look like, but good to see. I mean, you can filter well, we know we can do this some of the stuff already, but
Mm.
dragging and dropping column widths, showing a
Yep.
view of column and formatting improved user choice fields. I felt like it had already arrived, but
No, I mean this is editing the metadata in data sheet. I think this is one of those that we've been waiting for a
mm-hmm.
while. I think it was added a year ago onto the roadmap.
Right.
Um, but yeah, we don't have any information about this. There's been no blog post about it. There's been nothing. I haven't even seen a demo of what this is talking about.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, you're looking at the roadmap item there. The more information takes you to a blog post that there's a one line that says quicker metadata editing, I think is what it's called,
Mm.
and that's it. There's nothing, no information. And then the other thing I wanted to highlight in this message that we've seen in other messages, we just didn't call it out, was there's actually two links down there. There's an additional information, and then there's a help and support, um, which is
Hmm.
actually, I think these are confused
Yeah,
here
they
because the
swapped around,
additional
right?
information goes to
Yep.
support.office.com, and then the help and support goes to tech community.
Yep.
I think those are flipped.
Yep.
Oopsies. But I think that's interesting that they've been doing that.
Yeah.
They started doing that.
Yep. Well, yeah. I mean, because the blog post often talks about the feature ahead of time, and
Mhm.
then support if the support is in place. Because well, I mean, these days stuff is already written. It is there and available to start learning about it and figuring out what you need to do to prepare.
A lot of times.
Yeah, a lot,
Uh,
lot more than it
uh,
used to.
this case
Yeah.
is in particular, it's not there yet. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, we have a number of roles now, and because we've talked about a new one today, the
Yeah.
privacy reader role,
Mhm.
it really makes sense to be able to bring this in so that you can manage these different roles and see who is within those roles.
Yeah, and be able to not only see it but report on it.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can export a list of here are the people that are assigned this role. This is really important if you haven't been paying attention to the roles in the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. There's a lot of them. Over the
Mm.
course of the last year, we've added. It feels like a dozen. Just I don't know if it really is, but it just feels like we've added so many of different roles, and it's not necessarily a bad thing because we're able to specifically target. We have someone, if you have especially a large organization, just like we were talking about in the other announcement, you have someone who's responsible for the privacy information. Well, you can give them that reader role, right? And there's other things in that these cover. So being able to just manage who exactly has these roles without having to go and look at users specifically, I think so. This is a good thing, right? To be able to see all
Yeah.
of that together.
Uh, for there are still organizations that haven't yet moved into Microsoft 365,
What?
large and
I'm sorry.
small.
What?
Yeah.
What?
No, they really have. And is this? I mean, like, you could look at this list and say, "Wow, yes, there is plenty to do in the cloud. Here's all the roles that need to be fulfilled in some form or fashion." You could take your basic way and go, "Okay, everyone who needs to manage it is a global admin. That's not a good practice." You've got these other roles that you can group and say, "Well, hey, Bob, you're going to be responsible for this, this, and this because this is what you do."
Mm-hmm.
Tangibly. So this is how
Right.
you'll need to manage 365. One of the roles, and I'm just deviating a little bit there, but it comes up occasionally in my work, is the ability to read the message center reader, and
Mm-hmm.
in the same fashion, reading some of those Power BI usage analytics of
Mm-hmm.
Microsoft 365. This is a
Right.
change management role, and if I loop it back to what you asked earlier, um, bringing in other kinds of information, my hope would be that there is going to be stuff to come into the message center for even a change management admin
Mm-hmm.
portal that delivers
Right.
up those resources.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah. Moving along, uh, I've got to ask if anyone
Go
wants to tell me
local.
what go local India, and local Japan. I'm assuming that go local
Right.
is government local government,
Mm-hmm.
and that GCC, of course, is the Americanism of that. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So live events are coming to some government subscriptions.
And I was just using this as an example today
Mm-hmm.
concerning how someone was saying, had told a group I was working with that there's some issues with the cloud where data residency is basically what they said. That was not the phrase they used,
Mm.
but you have to be careful because your data may go to some other country. And I told them, well, in the U.S. we're pretty especially with Office 365, we're pretty lucky with this because almost everything rolls out in the U.S. before it rolls out everywhere else. So we generally don't have to worry about that in Office 365, but other countries do, right?
Mm.
So, I'm thinking just off the top of my head, some countries that have very stringent data requirements have been Germany, Japan, and others, and now pretty much all of Europe with some of their adoption lately. And then there's other countries, but so they do have to. So seeing this, I mean, that's cool. Being able to have, as we roll out these teams functionality like live events, to be able to say, hey, you can do these live events in your government cloud and it be in your country and alleviate those issues that they may have. And this is not surprising, right, Darrell? I mean, we
Mm.
were assuming this was going to happen. We just didn't know exactly when, but we knew this was going to happen.
They're actually a really good audience for or consumer for live events, and we do a bit of work with local government across New Zealand and Australia, and the question has been asked: what do you think? Could we do like a live event where we could make the discussions that are happening in council chambers available to the public to view and share and look at? So yeah, it's on its way. There'll be a few more things to happen to make that public and possible, and if you choose the Teams production environment, then you can make that public.
Mhm.
Yeah, good audience for that.
Agree.
SharePoint news and page recommendations. Reading through the news, I'm reading through the SharePoint news. Oh, look, there's some related stuff at the bottom there that might be kind of useful. I might go and read that too. Yeah? Is that how it works? Do you sing when you read, for starters?
I I, I don't. I
No.
just let you do that. I think
Beep, boop, bop. Sorry,
boop,
inside
beep, boop,
joke.
boop, boop,
Yeah,
boop,
there
beep.
you go.
Um, so this information, it really, to me, it really looks like WordPress. I don't mean to say they're mimicking that. I'm just saying WordPress has, you can add plugins to, be able to show you relevant posts that are,
Mm.
and this is, I think, even a step further. It's because what they're going to do is recommend on the bottom of SharePoint news pages, SharePoint news item posts, and SharePoint pages. They're going to have this section saying you might be interested in this, and so it's relevant posts. But it's not just relevant posts for. It's kind of similar to what you're reading. It's also what other posts are being looked at often. So other stuff that's being looked at, and the people that are that you have a relationship with. No, we're not talking about spouses or children here.
Mm.
We're talking about the relationship as in department, your manager, the people that directly report to you, people that you share a lot of content with, that you work with. Um,
Sounds like a graph
that
thing.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's the machine learning to grab machine learning with connection to the graph to pull in that information to say, what are they looking at too? Okay, that may
Mm.
be relevant to you as well. So
Yep.
I think this is fantastic. The thing that I worry about with this is the same idea that we have um, with posts that you vote up,
Mm-hmm.
and that's all you see because that's what got voted up, right? And
Oh,
so
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
if everybody starts reading the same news, that's great, but then only everybody's going to be reading those four posts because it's the only things that are recommended because everybody's doing it. What about the other four posts that need to be
Yeah.
read? It's not going to be in the recommendation. I'm assuming they are taking care of that and working through that. Things like the newest one. You wouldn't want something recommended. You wouldn't want all three of those, for instance, that we're seeing here in the example, all three of those being from 2 years ago, right? And that's just because they have so many views, right?
Mm-hmm.
You want it to be new stuff too.
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
sure they're
That's all down to
taking
that
care of that.
algorithm, isn't it? And
Yeah,
making
exactly.
sure that fits. YouTube creators have a similar problem where that groundswell happens because certain people are curated, and
Yeah.
that you're right. That's something you have to look out for. But what I do like about this is, um, it's almost preempting what people might talk about on Teams or on Yammer. They have read something and they
Mm.
haven't got around to posting it, but you can see that there's this swell towards certain news and certain things,
Mm.
and if your colleagues are reading it, then maybe it's something you could read and catch up with, and you'll be able to talk intelligently about it because you've
Mhm.
actually, oh, did you see that thing that happened and
I
the
agree.
blah blah blah, and
I mean,
yeah.
if you're using this in your organization the right way, in that when things are happening in the organization, you're publishing news items about them,
Mm.
then this will help keep everybody informed. And you don't have to have it, and it'll help with gossip. It'll help with, you know, did something change over? Did the leader? Did this happen? Well, just go read the news, and I
Mm.
think you're right. It'll head off some of that. It won't kill gossip totally because people love doing that.
Yep.
Um, and then section below, I think is nice. If you want to disable this for some reason, you
Yep.
can disable it at the page level, the post level, but you can
So the
also
author
disable
could
it.
do it as they're creating
That's
the
right.
page. Yep,
That's
or
right.
the news. Yep.
Or you can disable it at the site level by disabling a feature.
Right.
Um,
So
and
site
then you can
owners
read.
could say, look, we really don't want this appearing outside of our site. Look, the other thing, like to you know lower people's worries, it's like Delve. It's like everything to do with the Microsoft Graph. You won't see it unless you have permission to see it. So
Right.
don't worry
That's exactly right.
about that sort of thing. Turn it up.
That's exactly.
but yeah, give that some thought.
Yep.
Yeah, nice to see. Like, there's just these little things that are appearing that are trying to make news more discoverable.
Yeah, I agree. So the next
Um,
one, sir,
yeah.
this is we were talking about earlier
Yep.
about how Teams is coming at us from all different angles.
Yes.
And we've talked about this before, right, Darrell, about Teams coming to your desktop and
Yep.
doing that automatically pushing out.
Yep. It's something like up until this point, you either had IES develop a package and you roll it out and push it out, and you've got all the group policy stuff, and you do all that sort of stuff to get it out there. But it was never part of the Office Pro Plus build. And if people went through and were going through that self-install, then that it would have to be a separate thing. They're really, really keen to get the desktop client on to give you the best experience of Teams.
Mm-hmm.
And saying that, they're still doing a lot of work in the browser sense to try and make that a better experience too.
Mm-hmm.
But it will
Agreed.
be rolling out or be part of the Office Pro Plus build from July 9th, and
Mm-hmm.
there's a small adjustment they made to that rollout that some said, look, we really want to make sure we've got control over something here as it rolls out. What was that, Daniel?
Well, the auto start for
Yep.
if you want Teams to actually auto start on the desktop, it's something you can change as a user to go in and check that box or uncheck it to say I don't want it. But if you, as an admin, say I don't want Teams to auto start, then you can set that. But they're calling it out here. If you want to set it to not auto start for users, then you're going to need to do that before Teams is actually deployed to the user.
Mm.
Meaning, if you don't set that, and I, as a user, after July 9th, go and download Office Pro Plus and get Teams, it's going to auto start. Can I change it?
Yep.
Yes, of course. You can change it as a user, but not as an admin. So if on July 10th, the admin goes in and says, don't auto start, it doesn't change everyone's settings that's
Yeah.
already has Teams, that already have it.
I'm trying to think of the scenario where you'd want to turn auto start off. So you are wanting to roll it out to the desktop. It's sitting there in a
But
latent
no,
state.
you just made an assumption that may not be true.
No?
You may not want it to roll out to all the desktops.
Okay.
What if Skype is what everybody uses and you don't want to confuse people? And it's going to use up resources on the desktop. Just why even use it, because people are not using it yet. You haven't rolled it out yet. And so that's the reason why you would want to stop it, because you're not going to be able to stop it being rolled out. It's going to be installed, and users are going to be able to use it if they find it, right? If they do a search or go in, they're going to find it, or they may find it. But if you prevent the auto start, then again, we need to be off of Skype for Business and move into Teams before Skype for Business is disabled. Within the service is actually disabled. But a lot of organizations are not there yet. So this is kind of one of those things of, if you want to retain control for the rollout as far as using the service, your users using it, then disable the auto start, get your rollout plan together, communication plan, and then the problem with it is that you're going to have to educate users on how to auto start it if you turn it off, right? Because it won't auto start.
Yeah.
So you're going to say, go in there and check the box.
First run experience, tick the box.
Yeah.
All right.
So.
Well, they've got that ability there for you to change that if you need to. We have OneDrive and SharePoint integration with Azure AD B2B. B2B is when you've got two organizations, they trust each other, they've got a connection via Azure to the Active Directory to be able to have security between the two. And that usually had to be, there's a bit to set it up, but also the account has to be in place to allow that sharing to happen. Whereas now this scenario seems to be enabling that to happen when you go to share a document or a site.
That's right. Yeah, it's not having to pre-create that account in your tenant. It's when I go to share content with you, Darrell, and we have BDB set up in between our organizations, then It would immediately create the account for you.
Mm.
And the key here, I think, is, and they're calling this out, is that means your account is has all of the policies already applied to it. So it's not when you go to accept the share and like we normally do with non B2B, I guess, right? It's and the account gets created. This is talking about it creates it for you automatically, and then all the policies that you have as an organization applies to that account as well.
No, that's good. That's good to have
Yep.
those policies in place beforehand. There's times when you go to share something and then you want to do something additional, and you can't look up that user to add it to a group or add it to something
right.
else because the account's not there to do it yet.
It's not there yet.
Yeah,
That's right.
so that's sort of circumvents that part.
Oh, look, another Teams announcement.
Yep. It's like you guys are going on your summer holidays and 4th of July, and boom, here's all those announcements. Here's all those messages. But this is good. We've been waiting for this ability. When you go run a live event, you can get captioning, but it's an after the fact. Your recording will be sitting there in Azure for a little while. The captions will be added. It'll have trouble with the rest of the world, but does a great job with American accents. That should be changing soon too, by the way. I'm not bitter about that at all. I find it quite entertaining.
No, you're not bitter at all.
No. Maybe I should just talk clearly. But live captioning, being that it's going to pop up underneath as you're talking. Our workaround for this is that you turn it on in PowerPoint, and the PowerPoint engine for that live captioning is a lot more accurate. Yeah, it is better.
Okay. All right. Cool.
That's going to be brought into...
And translation. I think that's... live captions is great, especially for those that have hearing difficulties. Fantastic. But also translation, I think, is key too. When you're doing live events for your organization and you're an international company, maybe even not an international company, right? But you have people who speak different languages, being able to communicate with them in real time I think is a great thing. Now, of course, this is machine translation, so some things might be lost in that translation.
Lost in translation. There we go.
But you could get the gist of it, and at least get that point across live rather than having to wait for and just as you were talking about, English is, yes, it's a predominant language in the U.S. and other countries, but there's a whole large group of people who don't speak English, and so being able to communicate with them as well, I think is great. So I think translation here is good.
Yep, definitely. And lastly, admin usage report for Teams live events. Yeah. Now you can get some of these statistics on each event during the event. They're pretty light, but they're going to be some more analytics brought in, and they will give you some more useful understanding of your audience and who is viewing that. And I think we found, where was it? Was the roadmap that had the...
Yeah, the roadmap has a little bit more information.
Yeah.
So admins can view usage information, including event status, start time, views, and production type.
Yep.
And then they can also gain insight into usage trends, see who in the organization schedules, presents, and produces live events. So who's using the service as far as creating events and publishing content.
Right, well then that's my mistake. I said that it was about the audience. This is more about managing and producing the events.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think can view usage information, I think that's how many people are attending live events. Mm-hmm. So that's not necessarily, that is geared toward attendees, but the second part there is insights into usage trends. Well, it says into usage trend and see who in the organization schedules. So
yeah, this is still about who's running the events and what type of events they're scheduling. And
yeah, I obviously we're guessing here because we don't have any of the specific items. It'll be interesting to come back to this, Darrell, once we have it. to really see what those reports are. So, because I think it would be cool to see, what group, not only what group of people in the organization are doing live events, but who are consuming them. Is it, if maybe it's the C-suite that do all they're people doing all the live events. Okay, great. Well, what department is going to most of these things? I don't know. I just think
Yep.
there'd be some interesting information to be gained there if you can.
Yeah. Yep. That would definitely help.
Yep.
And it's all there. It's all there if people are attending and
Hmm.
watching from their phones, and their identities there and who they work for and their direct reports. So yeah, it'd be good to see if that comes through at some point.
Yeah.
Um, that actually, we'll wrap it up there, but it actually makes me think of, like, we're at the 100th episode, and
Hmm.
early on we did have more time sometimes in the episode to have a variation in the format. We sometimes had guest people came in,
We
and
did.
we'd do like pre-recordings and interview them for 10 minutes or so and get their opinions.
Yeah.
But what has changed over the 100 times 100 episodes in the years, 2 years at least, that we've been recording, is that we've now got into that format where stuff is being announced for the most part well before it arrives, and then maybe a little repetition beforehand. Sometimes we see post-dated announcements like last week.
Yeah. Nice.
But what that has done is it has affected our show is that we can't really show you a lot of stuff. We can only talk about it, show you more information, links and things like that. I think, what do you think about this, Daniel? Like, if we generally sort of think about going back at least once a month and going over what are these things and have they been released, and just doing a quick recap of what this looks like in action.
I think that was a wonderful idea, Darrell.
Good. All right. Settled in.
Well, I didn't say anything about agreed to. I said that's a wonderful idea.
However, we need to discuss this. Just add.
No, I think it's a great. You're on point with, and this week is a great example of, here's a bunch of announcements talking about features we can't show you yet because they haven't even published blog posts to show you yet. Which is good to kind of know things are coming, but then it's also good to actually see them and know what to do and what does that really mean, especially for instance that SharePoint one about metadata editing for quick edits. So what does that really mean when you start doing it? So I think it's a great idea.
Yep. Remember, a lot of these things are preparing and allowing you to see it coming into preview, and then there's that next layer that once you've experienced, then communicate to your organization.
That's
But
right.
you and I are at that level where we can't do that because we're seeing this at the same time as you. But yeah, I think let's look at that at some point, see what we can do in terms of a format and a recap and whether it be a video or whatever. But that is 100 episodes done. Woo! Yeah.
Hey, congratulations, Darrell. Congratulations.
Yep. Thank you to everyone who tunes in and passes comment and says that it's valuable to them, and spread the word, because this is all about trying to make people aware, and we learn from sharing. And it's been an honor and a lot of fun. We'll keep at it.
Yes, we will. We love doing it and really appreciate those that, as you said, jump in and participate in the live chat, but also
Definitely.
that watch when they can and provide input to us via the socials on blogs and everything. So we really appreciate it. Appreciate your support.
Cool. All right. Well, you're on holiday,
Hmm.
and I'll keep working.
Okay.
So we'll see
Good.
you again. You're only away for a week?
Yes.
Good. All right. So tune in next week. You'll catch
right.
us again. Bye for now.
Bye bye.